following review contains spoilers for Doctor Who Series 12, Episode 6, Praxeus. If you've not yet seen the episode, click off the video now. Hi everyone, Clacka the Geek here. Welcome back to the Clacka Chronicles, and today I'm going to be reviewing Doctor Who Series 12, Episode 6, Praxeus. So this episode was written by two people. It was written by Chris Chibnall, again, and it was written by Pete Matteek, who wrote Kablam from Series 11. And if you didn't know, Kablam is my favourite episode of that season, so I was really looking forward to seeing him returning to the writing team. And although this story's narrative flows a bit better than last week's episode, the story itself still isn't that great. Now don't get me wrong, having a smaller scale episode which isn't too crazy is fair enough after last week's bombshell. So, to be honest, I can't really be too mad at this episode. But that doesn't really stop from the fact that it's not the most memorable episode of Doctor Who. And it's not the greatest. It's just a bit sort of bog standard, run of the mill. So yeah, the plot of the episode is nothing outstanding. It is pretty simple. The Doctor and companions are split across the world. So I quite like sort of the scale of the episode. But they're investigating these mysteries going on, like an astronaut going missing, and these weird bird creatures, which turn out to be mutated, which I'll get onto a bit. But yeah, I quite like that setup. It sort of felt quite grand, a bit like how Spyfall opened with the different spies getting killed off in different countries. Quite like that aspect and that approach, but it wasn't as grand as I was hoping for it to be. And again, I can't blame it for going a bit more small scale, but it was setting up to be a bit bigger than what it actually was. So, a little bit disappointing in that regard. But then it turns out that the birds that I said mutated is because of plastic waste in the ocean. And yeah, like, it's very predictable, to be honest. And it's like with arachnids in the UK. It was like toxic waste caused the giant spiders. This causes evil birds, you know, like, come on, it could be a bit more original. And considering you've had another Don't Pollute the Earth episode with Orphan 55, which for me has gone down as, and I consider that a bad episode now, you know, do we really need a third? Although I will say that this is the best sort of version of the Don't Pollute Earth story that we've had in this era so far. And while throughout the message of don't pollute the ocean and stuff wasn't overly preachy, when it was focusing on it, it just felt very out of place and just felt like they just chucked it in there, just in the middle of all the action. So, it wasn't too bad, but again, it feels a bit repetitive now. However, what I really did like about the episode were the characters. I thought they were quite well defined, fun, memorable, although not the most fleshed out. I did remember most of them. You have Jake and Adam, who, you know, they're very fun, you know, have a good dynamic, and they are a gay couple in the episode, and they do kiss, and so what? It's two men kissing, whatever. To be honest, it's not the forefront of the episode, so it doesn't really matter for me. You also have Suki, who's like a scientist, and, you know, she was quite good. There's a reveal about her near the end of the story, which I'll get onto in a bit, but she's quite good. And then you have a vlogger, who I can't remember the name of, but she's quite funny. She has some good banter with Ryan and Yaz. And yeah, I thought the characters were overall very good in the episode. I thought the TARDIS team were pretty decent in this. The Doctor was quite good, and I liked how she saved Jake at the end, who almost died, but she was like, you know, I'm not having anyone else die. I quite like that at the end. So she was fine. And then the companions, although they do get some good moments, Graham gets some good humorous moments, and like Graham and Ryan are just brilliant together, but overall they don't really serve too much for the plot, I wouldn't say, but they were still serviceable in this episode. I also thought the episode had some good monsters and villains. So you have Suki, who is the last of her race, and they're dying off because of this Praxeus virus, and she's trying to find a cure, and she's one of those villains which is sort of good-natured but goes about it the wrong way, and that's fine. But because you don't really get to see her desperation, and the twist is only near the end, so you're not really emotionally invested with her to see her desperation and to why she's so desperate to get this cure from the Doctor. And although it is sad when she does get killed from the virus, and the Doctor's reaction is very good, it could have been built up a bit more, I think. I also thought the swarm of birds were very, very good and very creepy, very reminiscent of The Birds, the Alfred Hitchcock film from the 60s. The way that they sort of like rush in, swarm into the lab, is quite similar to a lot of the stuff you see in that film. Like when they come down the fireplace, and it was very creepy, very effective. But yeah. And the other antagonists in this episode were the people in the hazmat suits with like the gas masks on. I remember from the trailer, those people with like the yellowy laser guns. Those were in this episode, and they were from the same race as Suki, and they were wearing the mask because the Praxeus virus had got to them. And yeah, they were pretty cool. I like the look of them, as I said in my trailer thoughts video, but they don't really do much in the overall story. So let's talk about the aesthetic look of the episode. I think it looks stunning. The location, filming on the beach, the filming like in Hong Kong, very grimy streets, looks very good. The sort of quarantined hospital area where they first find the infection has been spread onto humans, very well done. And the music in that scene especially really adds to that, because the music is fantastic in the episode. Yeah, and so production-wise, this episode is brilliant. So overall, I like this episode. I might come off a bit negative in the video, but I do enjoy the episode. But the only reason I might have come off as a bit pessimistic is because there isn't a whole lot to talk about in this episode. It's a very bog-standard, run-of-the-mill Doctor Who story, which, albeit is fun, not the most engaging Doctor Who story. I mean, I wouldn't mind revisiting it when it comes out on like DVD or iPlayer, but as I stand now, it's fine, serviceable, but nothing more. So that's why I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. And that's been me, Clacka the Geek. Hope you enjoyed the review. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that great stuff. And this is Clacka the Geek, signing out. Ta-ra.